You know, they say blood is thicker than water, but I learned the hard way that sometimes blood can be poison. My name is Sarah, and I'm 32 years old, and I want to tell you about the birthday dinner that changed everything. The night my family disowned me, and the night I discovered that sometimes the best revenge is just living your truth. I need to take you back to understand how we got here. Growing up in suburban Minneapolis, I was always the odd one out in the Morrison family. My parents, Linda and Frank, they had this picture-perfect vision of what their daughter should be. My older brother Jake, he fit right into that mold. Star quarterback in high school, business degree from the University of Minnesota, married his high school sweetheart, had 2 beautiful kids, and took over Dad's construction company. He was everything they wanted in a son. And then there was me. I was the one who preferred books to boys, who spent my weekends at the library instead of the mall, who chose literature over business, who came home from college and announced I was gay. You should have seen their faces that day. Mom actually dropped her coffee mug, and Dad just walked out of the room without saying a word. For years, I tried to bridge that gap. I tried to be the daughter they wanted while staying true to who I was. I brought my girlfriend Emma to family dinners, hoping they'd warm up to her. Emma, bless her heart, she tried so hard to win them over. She'd bring homemade cookies. She'd ask about Dad's work. She'd compliment Mom's cooking. But they treated her like she was invisible, like she was some phase I was going through. The worst part wasn't the cold shoulders or the awkward silences. It was the way they'd light up when Jake walked in with his family, how they'd coo over their grandchildren, how they'd ask about every detail of his life while barely acknowledging mine. I published my first novel when I was 28, a small press literary fiction book that actually won a regional award. You know what my mom said when I told her? "That's nice, honey. Jake just got promoted to regional manager." But I kept trying. I kept showing up to family dinners, kept calling on holidays, kept hoping that one day they'd see that I was worthy of their love exactly as I was. Emma used to tell me I was torturing myself, that I should just accept that some people can't change. But she was my family, you know? The only family I had. My 32nd birthday was on a Tuesday this year, October 15th. I had been dreading it because birthdays in my family were always this big production. Mom would make her famous pot roast, Dad would break out his good whiskey, and we'd all pretend we were this happy, functional family. But this year felt different. Emma and I had been talking about starting a family of our own, maybe through adoption or IVF, and I was nervous about telling them. I thought maybe, just maybe, the idea of being grandparents again might soften them toward us. The dinner was supposed to be at 6, but I showed up early to help Mom in the kitchen. That was always our thing, even when things were tense between us. She'd let me help with the sides while she fussed over the main course. When I walked into their house that night, the smell of pot roast and fresh bread hit me like a wave of nostalgia. For a moment, I felt like I was 8 years old again, coming home from school to find Mom cooking my favorite meal. "Hey, Mom," I said, hanging my jacket on the hook by the door. "Need any help?" She looked up from the stove, and there was something in her eyes I couldn't quite read. "Sarah, we need to talk before everyone gets here." My stomach dropped. Those words, "we need to talk," they never led anywhere good in my family. I followed her to the kitchen table, the same one where I'd done my homework as a kid, where I'd announced I was gay all those years ago. "Your father and I have been talking," she started, not meeting my eyes. "About you and Emma, about your lifestyle." I felt my chest tighten. "Mom, we've been over this. I'm not going to change who I am. We know that," she said quietly. "And we've decided that we can't keep pretending anymore. We can't keep acting like we're okay with this when we're not." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What are you saying?" "We're saying that after tonight, we think it's best if you don't come around anymore. Jake agrees. We can't reconcile your choices with our values." I sat there in stunned silence. After all these years, after all the dinners where I'd bitten my tongue, after all the times I'd let their comments slide, after all the love I'd poured into trying to maintain these relationships, they were cutting me off. "It's my birthday," I whispered, and I hated how small my voice sounded. "I know, honey. That's why we wanted to have this one last dinner, to say goodbye properly." The front door opened, and I heard Jake's voice, his kids running through the house. "Grandma! Grandpa! We're here!" Mom stood up and smoothed her apron. Let's just get through dinner, okay? For the kids. I don't know how I made it through the next hour. I sat at that table, watching Jake's kids show off their latest school projects, listening to my parents gush over every little thing they did, feeling like I was disappearing piece by piece. Emma kept texting me, asking how it was going, and I couldn't even respond. How do you text back, "My family is disowning me over dessert"? Jake knew. I could tell by the way he avoided my eyes, by the way he kept steering conversations away from anything that might include me. He'd known this was coming, maybe even pushed for it. Jake always resented that I was different, that I couldn't just fall in line like he did. When Mom brought out the birthday cake, chocolate with vanilla frosting, the same cake she'd made for me every year since I was 5, I almost lost it. The kids started singing, "Happy Birthday," and I felt like I was at my own funeral. After we finished eating, after the kids had run off to play, Dad cleared his throat. Here it comes, I thought. The formal disownment. "Sarah," he said, his voice firm but not unkind. "We've loved you the best way we knew how, but we can't continue to support choices that go against everything we believe in. You're our daughter, and we'll always love you, but we don't claim you anymore. We can't. We don't claim you." Those 4 words echoed in my head. I looked around the table at these people who had raised me, who had taught me to ride a bike and helped me with homework and cheered at my high school graduation. And now they were sitting there, telling me I was no longer part of their family. "So that's it?" I asked, my voice steady despite the tears streaming down my face. 32 years, and you're just done?" "You made your choice," Jake said, speaking for the first time all evening. "You chose that lifestyle over your family." "I chose to be honest about who I am," I shot back. "I chose to live authentically instead of pretending to be someone I'm not." "Well, now we're choosing to be honest too," Dad said. "And honestly, we're embarrassed by you. We're tired of making excuses for you. We're tired of pretending we're okay with this." The room fell silent, except for the sound of the kids playing in the living room. I looked at each of them, these people who had shaped my entire world, and I realized something profound. I had been so focused on trying to earn their love that I had forgotten I deserved it unconditionally. I reached into my purse and pulled out a manila envelope. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady when I spoke. "Before you officially write me off, there's something you should know. Something I found out last week." I opened the envelope and pulled out a letter, yellowed with age, written in handwriting I recognized immediately. My grandmother's handwriting. My dad's mother, who had passed away when I was 15. "Grandma Rose left me something," I said, unfolding the letter. "Something she kept secret for 17 years. Dad's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" "Her attorney contacted me last week. Apparently, she left specific instructions that I wasn't to receive this until I turned 32. She wanted to make sure I was old enough to handle it." I began to read aloud. "To my dearest Sarah, if you're reading this, then you've reached your 32nd birthday, and I'm no longer here to tell you this myself. I've watched your father struggle with accepting who you are, and I've watched you struggle to earn his acceptance. I want you to know that I always saw you exactly as you were meant to be, and I loved you completely." My voice cracked, but I kept reading. "You were always my kindred spirit, my little bookworm, my granddaughter who asked the hard questions and wasn't satisfied with easy answers. I know that your path hasn't been easy, and I suspect it will only get harder as you grow older and your family struggles to accept your true self." I looked up at my family. Mom was crying now, Dad was staring at the table, and Jake looked like he wanted to disappear. "That's why I've made arrangements to leave you my house in Duluth, the one by the lake that you always loved. But more than that, I'm leaving you my entire estate. The investments, the savings, the property your grandfather and I accumulated over 50 years of marriage, all of it goes to you, Sarah, because I believe you're the only one who will use it to build something beautiful." The silence in the room was deafening. My grandmother's estate, I had learned from her attorney, was worth just over $2.3 million. The house in Duluth, where I'd spent every summer until I was 15, was worth another $800,000. My grandmother, who had lived so modestly that we all assumed she was just getting by on Social Security, had been quietly building a fortune. "There's more," I said, my voice stronger now. "She left specific instructions about the rest of the family." I flipped to the second page. "To my son Frank, I leave my china cabinet and my wedding ring, with the hope that he will remember that love is not conditional, and that family is not defined by who we choose to love, but by how we choose to love them. Dad's shoulders shook, and I realized he was crying. To my grandson, Jake, I leave my husband's tools and my hope that he will build something better than the prejudice his father has taught him. Jake's face was red, a mixture of anger and shame. And to my daughter-in-law, Linda, I leave my recipe box and my disappointment that she never learned that a mother's love should be unconditional. Mom let out a sob, but I wasn't done. She also left a letter for all of you. I pulled out another envelope. She asked me to read it if you ever rejected me for being gay. I opened it with shaking hands. To my family, if Sarah is reading this letter, then you have failed the test of love. You have chosen your prejudices over your daughter, your sister, your granddaughter. You have chosen to break apart a family rather than expand your definition of what family means. I paused, looking around the table at their faces. You have taught Sarah that love is conditional, that acceptance must be earned, that being true to herself is less important than conforming to your expectations. In doing so, you have lost the most precious gift I could have given you, which was the opportunity to love someone unconditionally. The letter continued, but I could barely read it through my tears. Sarah, you now have the means to build your own family, to create your own traditions, to surround yourself with people who love you for exactly who you are. Don't waste another moment trying to earn what should have been given freely. I folded the letter and put it back in the envelope. The room was silent except for the sound of crying. Even Jake was wiping his eyes. So, I said, standing up from the table, you don't claim me anymore. That's fine. I don't need you to claim me. I have something better than your conditional love. I have the unconditional love of the one person in this family who truly knew me, and I have the means to build a life surrounded by people who choose to love me every day. I walked toward the door, then turned back. Emma and I are getting married next month. We're going to have the wedding at Grandma's house in Duluth. We're going to adopt children and give them the kind of love I wish I'd had. And someday, when your grandchildren ask why they don't have an Aunt Sarah, I hope you'll be honest with them about why you chose hate over love. I reached the door and turned back one more time. Oh, and Jake? Grandma also left a note about the construction company. Apparently she owned 40% of it. As of today, I'm your business partner. My lawyer will be in touch. I walked out into the October night, and for the first time in my life, I felt free. My phone was buzzing with texts from Emma, asking how dinner went. I called her as I sat in my car outside the house where I'd grown up. How did it go? She asked. They disowned me, I said, and I was surprised to find that I was laughing through my tears. They literally said they don't claim me anymore. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? I'm better than okay, I said. I'm free. And Emma? We're going to be rich. I told her about the inheritance, about the house in Duluth, about the look on Jake's face when he realized I was now his business partner. She was quiet for a long moment. So what happens now? She asked. Now we build our own family, I said. We get married by the lake, we adopt those kids we talked about, and we show them what unconditional love looks like. We break the cycle. That was 6 months ago. Emma and I got married in May, at Grandma Rose's house in Duluth, with the lake stretching out behind us like a promise. We had 50 people there, all of them chosen family, all of them people who loved us exactly as we were. My agent was there, my editor, my college friends, Emma's family who had welcomed me from day one, and our chosen family of other couples who had been through similar struggles. We're in the process of adopting 2 siblings, a 6-year-old girl named Maya and her 4-year-old brother Luis. Their caseworker says they've been in the system for 2 years, waiting for a family that won't give up on them. When we told them we wanted to adopt both of them together, Maya asked if we promised we wouldn't change our minds. I told her that promises are sacred in our family, and that once someone is part of our family, they're family forever. Jake and I have an interesting business relationship now. He's still the day-to-day manager, but I have final say on all major decisions. The first thing I did was implement a company-wide non-discrimination policy. The second thing I did was raise wages for all the workers. Jake wasn't happy about it, but he's learned that fighting me is futile. I have Grandma Rose's business sense, and I have 40% of his livelihood. My parents have tried to reach out a few times. They sent a card when Emma and I got married, though they didn't sign it. They sent a text when we announced the adoption. But they haven't apologized, and they haven't acknowledged that what they did was wrong. They just seem to want to pretend it never happened. I've learned that you can't make people love you the way you need to be loved. You can twist yourself into knots trying to be acceptable to them, but if they're determined to withhold their love, there's nothing you can do about it. What you can do is build your own life, surround yourself with people who choose you every day, and create the kind of family you wish you'd had. The house in Duluth is everything I remembered and more. Maya and Luis love the lake, and we spend our weekends building sandcastles and looking for agates on the shore. Luis asks me every day if I'm really going to be his mama forever, and every day I tell him that's a promise I'll never break. Maya has started calling Emma and me her real moms, because she says, real moms don't give up on you. I've been thinking a lot about what family means. I used to think it was about blood, about shared genetics and shared history, but I've learned that family is about choice. It's about choosing to love someone even when they're difficult, choosing to support them even when you don't understand them, choosing to include them even when they're different from you. My biological family chose to exclude me rather than expand their definition of love, but my chosen family, the one I've built with Emma and Maya and Luis and all the people who celebrate our victories and comfort us in our struggles, they choose us every day. They choose to love us not despite our differences, but because of them. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd gotten that inheritance when I was younger, if I'd had the financial security to tell my family exactly what I thought of their conditional love. But I think Grandma Rose was wise to wait. I needed to go through all those years of trying to earn their acceptance to understand that it was never about me not being good enough. It was about them not being brave enough to love unconditionally. If you're listening to this and you're struggling with family acceptance, if you're trying to earn love that should be given freely, I want you to know that you deserve better. You deserve to be loved for exactly who you are, not for who someone else thinks you should be. You deserve a family that celebrates your authenticity, not one that asks you to hide it. And if you're someone who's been withholding love from a family member because they don't fit your expectations, I want you to know that you're missing out on something beautiful. You're missing out on the chance to expand your heart, to grow as a person, to learn that love is not a finite resource that gets depleted when you share it with someone different from you. Maya asked me yesterday why some families give up on each other. I told her that some people get so focused on what they think family should look like that they forget what family should feel like. Family should feel like safety, like acceptance, like home. It should feel like a place where you can be completely yourself and still be completely loved. My family of origin couldn't give me that, but my chosen family does, every single day. Maya and Luis will never wonder if they're loved enough, if they're acceptable enough, if they're worthy of their place at our table. They'll know, with absolute certainty, that they belong. That's the kind of legacy I want to leave. Not a financial inheritance, though I'm grateful for the one Grandma Rose left me, but a legacy of unconditional love, of chosen family, of the radical act of loving someone exactly as they are. The night of my 32nd birthday, my family said they didn't claim me. And you know what? That was the best gift they could have given me, because it freed me to claim myself, to build my own life, to create my own definition of family. It freed me to understand that blood may be thicker than water, but chosen love is stronger than both. If you've made it this far in my story, I'd love to know about your own experiences with family, biological or chosen. Leave a comment below and tell me about a time when you had to choose between being accepted and being authentic. Tell me about the people who love you unconditionally. And if you're still searching for your chosen family, know that they're out there, waiting for you to find them. Don't forget to like this video if it resonated with you, and subscribe if you want to hear more stories about the messy, beautiful, complicated journey of building a life true to yourself. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they're worthy of unconditional love, exactly as they are. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for letting me share the worst and best night of my life with you. And remember, family isn't about who you're related to. It's about who refuses to give up on you, who chooses you every day, who loves you not despite your differences, but because of them. Until next time, keep choosing love over fear, authenticity over acceptance, and chosen family over conditional love. You deserve nothing less than to be completely, unconditionally, unapologetically loved.